Could you take us back to the beginning? How did you discover your passion for acting and storytelling?
Well, my passion for storytelling that really began when I was like a little kid because I grew up in an artist household. My mom is a musician. A lot of my family members are musicians. And the people I spent a lot of my time around were also musicians. So that really kind of was the catalyst for me. And so like my brothers and I would kind of like create little stories and um, do reenactments of things. We definitely lived in the world of storytelling since I guess, you could say since I came out the womb. But for acting, I actually didn't get into that until about 4 years ago. It wasn't something that I was like, oh, I have to do this. This is my passion. This is my career. This is my dream. Like that wasn't the case for me. I actually was a dancer prior to that for like 10 years. I was like on a pre-professional track. I was dancing like basically 7 days a week, and
Hmm.
injured, and that kind of like thwarted all possibilities of me becoming a professional dancer, which is what I really wanted to do. And that was in my senior year of high school. So I needed to finish. I had like a couple of credits that I needed to complete. So I took an acting class just for the fun of it, and I really enjoyed it. It kind of gave me that like life that I was missing so much with having lost my ability to be able to dance like I wanted to. So I just been doing it since then, and I've enjoyed it, and it somehow got me here.
Yeah. What has that transition been like for you going from dance to now acting, and how do those different mediums lend themselves to one another?
Mm. Well, the beautiful thing about dance is that it's a full body sport. I call it a sport because you really
Yeah.
are, you're doing everything that like any other athlete is doing. So it's a lot of conditioning, it's a lot of body awareness, it's a lot of spatial awareness. So and you need these things as an actor, because you're communicating with other people, you're telling stories, right? You're interacting with your environment, and it may not be an actual like dance in the traditional sense, but it's a dance within like the verbal space, within like the body and physical space. So being physically aware of my body, how I'm holding myself and stuff like that, I would say 100% I attribute to my dance
Mm.
um, career and my dance history, just because that it taught me so much. It was a hard transition though, because and to this day, even I still miss dancing so much. I loved it. It was my heart and soul. And yeah, just something that really just gave me life. But acting has given me that part of my life back. Might not always be dancing all the time, although in between shots, I'm definitely that person to just like crack out a little like little dance or a little shimmy or something. Um, and so yeah, I'm just really grateful that I've been able to have acting as like this outlet to kind of still release that energy creatively.
Yeah, and you've got a new series out now. Can you tell us about Full Circle, your character, and what drew you to this project?
Yes. So Full Circle is a botched kidnapping gone wrong in the general scheme of things. But it's so much more. There's so many storylines. There's one central event that affects so many different lives, and it's just like there's this huge just like the likeness of like a butterfly effect. Like I've heard Zesty say, it's just like a butterfly effect, which I think is a very true analogy to use for this situation, because there's so many things. There's just one thing happens, and then everything just like is affected by it. So, and it's really cool to see the many different storylines and how people kind of deal with these really tumultuous moments within the story. And then kind of playing the character, I think you asked about
Yeah.
playing Natalia. Yeah. Natalia is this fierce protector that uh, she'll do anything to protect her family, to protect her morals. And so having I have two brothers, two younger brothers. I was really able to like kind of lean on that like fierce, almost like mama bear protective self.
Mm.
And Gerald, honestly, the one who plays Louis and my little brother, in the show, he honestly kind of became like this little brother to me, even off screen, because you just realize just how precious family is. And so I really related to Natalia in that sense. And so it made it kind of, in some ways, easier, but also harder, because I was constantly put into this position of being like, if this were me, what would I really be doing? And Natalia was
Yeah.
doing things that I think that I would probably do in response to protecting my brother and still trying to remain true to my integrity and my truth. So it was really fun to play her, because it was a challenge, but also a little bit daunting as well.
And Stephen and Ed gave you a lot of creative freedom to make Natalia your own. How did that trust allow you to make the creative choices that you make throughout the series?
I felt tremendous honor, honestly, and really just like humbled and grateful that they were so like trusting of me, someone who is so new to this industry. Like, they don't know me. I could have really just come off the side of the street. And they'd be like, yeah, we just hired her. I don't know. I mean, hopefully she does what she's supposed to. So I it did not pass me by that, like, this is a very big I mean, we're talking about Steven Soderbergh and Ed Solomon, two people who have really been like very central to kind of creating this, like the part of this, the world of film, that we know as we know it today. So
Mm,
it was just really I just felt just tremendous honor. And then I also felt a little bit of pressure, not from them, but from myself, because we're our own worst critics sometimes, to like really step up to the plate, because I was like, if I fail, if I mess this up, it's on me, because they gave me the trust. They said, here's the key to the Maserati, good luck, and don't fuck it up. Sorry, I hope I'm not I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but just like I just didn't want to mess up. And so I was just really, really honored. And also, it gave me a lot of room to just kind of play and just be like, I want to try this. And Steve would be like,
yeah.
okay, do it. And it was just really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely stepped up to the plate. Steven is known for shooting very quickly, and often you're only getting one take. How challenging was that to adjust to?
It wasn't actually that challenging, because I guess since I'm so new to things, it was just kind of like, oh, this is the norm. Okay,
Mm,
so come prepared. I was definitely surprised, like first day of set, or first day of shooting, sorry. I definitely was like, oh, this is crazy. I hope I did that well. Because he did one shot and he's like, okay, got it. And then
yeah.
we're moving on. So I definitely was a little shocked by it at first. But then I really liked it, just because, one, it really made you, it kind of almost felt like a play in a way, not entirely, because we're
Yeah.
still having setups and sometimes we'd have to do more than one take. But a lot of times when we were doing those one, maybe two takes, it really just felt like, you have to be in the moment, be in the lines, and whatever you want to present in that moment, whatever material, whatever like mannerisms, things that you want to try, do it now, because you may not get to do it again. And sometimes he would be like, you want to try that again? Like, he would look and he would be paying attention and be like, you want to try that again? But 9 times out of 10, it was just like, you put complete trust into your director. And if you have a director like Steven Soderbergh, you're like, nah, if you're good, I'm good. So yeah, it was honestly really easy. And I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, you touched upon this already a little bit earlier, but so much of Natalia's journey throughout this series is really about finding her voice and protecting those closest to her, which you brought so much nuance to. As an actress, how did you create the space for yourself to dive into that arc and those vulnerabilities?
Warm-ups. I would arrive to set every time I had to go to set. I would arrive at least an hour early, uh,
Hmm.
to like just kind of let go of whatever was happening in the day and just really sink into Natalia in that moment. The things that she was going to be going through in that
Yeah.
day, whatever else. Because it's, at least for me, it's not easy to just access someone who's going through such a heightened and intense period in time in their life, especially if it's supposed to remain consistent, because
Mm.
in the sense of like shooting, right? We one don't shoot chronologically, so
Yeah.
we gotta. I wrote a lot of breakdowns on like what was happening in each scene so that I could follow it emotionally and figure out, you know, where I was within the space. Um, but then also like there's this sense that like you have to just drop into things immediately when it's just not easy, and the span of the actual show happens over a few days and we're shooting for months, so I needed time to really just like sink into it, meditate. I would meditate in my trailer for like 15 minutes to just center myself and then start warming up, start talking in the accent. I also listen to Guyanese news
Mm.
sometimes, just kind of get into like their headspace of like, we're moving quickly, we're moving fast, and the rhythm, to hear her rhythm, what my rhythm should sound like. So that's kind of how I dropped into it.
And you're such a standout in this series. Is there a particular scene or episode that you're really excited for audiences to see?
There's two actually. The episode 5 and 6. Um, there's especially one scene in episode 6 where, without giving away too much, we were shooting late at night on a dock, and it was freezing, freezing cold, and we were wet and grimy, and it was not really fun to shoot. It was the middle of the night, but it looks beautiful
Yeah,
now. To see it, like I've been able to see the whole
same.
show. Yeah, so I've seen. You probably know which scene I'm talking about,
Yeah.
but to be able to see it now and see how well it kind of like all flows together, and like the discomfort that I was physically like actually feeling and allowing that on my face, like it's just really cool to see. So that's one that I'm really, really looking forward to for other people to see. And yeah, yeah.
This is one of your biggest roles to date. Did anything surprise you about the overall experience? What's the biggest takeaway that you're now bringing to future projects?
You know, it maybe it's not the biggest thing for other people. For me, on set there were no chairs. There was no green room for the actors. So we were, whenever, you know, Steven was like moving around to do a different shot and different setup, I and the rest of the cast, we didn't sit, so we would just stand around and just, you know, talk to the crew and stuff. But sometimes what I would do also is watch Steven, because I mean, this man is a master, so like I'm
Yeah.
going to be watching. And so I think to be able to watch him in his space and to see how like kind of quiet he is when he's like really focused on his work, and you can see the gears going in his mind. It's really interesting. And so it just kind of changed my whole perspective on how to approach my work from now on.
Mm.
Because I think a lot of times people think that, you know, or kind of get caught up in the whole flashiness of being in the film industry of like, oh, we're on set, we're on a camera, we're about to, you know, be on a big platform, you know, whatever, it's on Max, and which is really cool. It's really dope. But like, for those who are like super into like the actual craft of like
Mm.
creating story, which I really love, and it's something that I would like to do for however long I'm in this industry. Um, I think I'm going to start watching more of like the directors and the writers and producers and even the cameramen. I mean, Steven was the cameraman in this, but watching the people who are doing the boom and like the light,
Yeah.
all that, it's just really interesting to watch. And it's something that I think is kind of important to know too, because it's like if you're going to be a part of this, you might as well know how the
Yeah.
machine works. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do from moving from now on out. Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll inform your work on screen too. I got one final question for you, and it's a perfect segue, but I think this project is definitely going to put you on the map. As you look ahead to the next 5 to 10 years, is there a dream role or story that you would love to bring to life, either in the front of the camera or behind it?
Oh, I think a bit of both. I would love to like write something kind of like Issa Rae. I love
Mm.
Lisa. She's somebody I look up to so much because I consider myself a very awkward Black girl, and she was able to take that and create stories with it. And so I just really would love to do something kind of in that same vein of like writing my own story, even producing it, and then starring in it. I would love to star in something. I love like the weird, fantastical things.
Mm,
Kind of like Lovecraft Country, but meets like some weird, I don't know, like comedy, like kind of like the Abbott Elementary
yeah.
comedy type. I just love Quinta as well. I just love those things where like you can mix the world of fantastical with like good comedy. I would love to do something like that, or an action movie. I love action stuff. I think action is really cool. So like some sort of high speed something.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
you could use your dance training as well.
Yes, I would love to do that. That would be so fun for me. Like I would literally live if I could like sort of like dance movie. Like that. I'm sorry. Got a little hype about that. But yes, that would be
Love
so
it. No, I love it.